Good afternoon, LinkedIn friends. It's time for another special edition of the Road to Inbound 2025 here on a Wednesday. Usually we're around on Fridays, but Cameron Collins pinged me saying I wanna do one of those 1 week out, and I could not resist. Love doing shows with you, Cameron. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to be chatting with you on your cast and so excited to be meeting with all of the amazing HubSpot fans and Sprocketeers at Inbound coming up around the corner.
1 week away, man.
It's
Can you believe
crazy.
it?
Yeah. The last one I went to was 2023, and so I didn't get to go last year, which made me very sad. But now I've become so much closer with so many people in the community that I'm excited to actually get to go back now.
Yeah. Well, uh, I think it's fair to say, like, if anybody had to nobody really has to earn their way back, but I think you certainly have in terms of like, you're not just coming back as the usual attendee. You've been leading, the Sprocketeer community. I think that Inbound in 23 was right before it switched from Discord to Slack. It's obviously exploded since then. You've been doing admin arena in the past few months, and yeah, you've got some exciting stuff happening this year. So I'm glad you could make it back.
Yeah, it's been a fun time, and I mean HubSpot's changed so much over that period, and I'm in the bubble that I'm in with all the stuff that I've done. So I'm excited to just talk to everyone about how they're using HubSpot, how businesses are using HubSpot outside of some of the more traditional ways that maybe most of us are used to, and then of course I know we'll get a lot of good updates at Inbound, which I'm sure that Casey will be talking about quite a bit. So we'll all be staying tuned for that.
Yeah, we're lucky as shout out to the champions team, the community team, really taking the inbound correspondent uh, label to the next level this year. We're going to be recording the Wake Up Customer Platform Morning Show every day at Inbound. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 8:15, right after the doors open, for a half hour. Me, her, George. We've got a special guest joining us on Wednesday that we're really excited about. But yeah, we started doing that because it's like, okay, if HubSpot's going to drop 10 updates a day, can't just let Kyle be the only one. Like, it's one guy. There's no way we're ever going to keep up. So that's been a lot about what we've been doing there. But what have you been seeing, like, as because I think for you, we can kind of get into the greater community, situation. Like, Inbound is once a year, right? And kind of, it used to be the once a year, like, major updates thing. Now, like, HubSpot's updating all year. Likewise, community is just like, Inbound is still the main attraction, but there's so much happening during the year now, and so much of that is in Sprocketeer. So I'd love to see, like, what the vibe is in there. Are people keeping up? How are people helping each other? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ways that using HubSpot and just being involved in the community has changed is that the questions and the use cases are becoming more and more niche and more complex as HubSpot can do more. And so sometimes the answer is a native feature that does now exist that either was gated by enterprise or is buried somewhere. And sometimes the solution is just the community getting really creative in answering solutions. But I'll be really curious to see how, as we continue to get updates from not just from Inbound, but throughout the next year with HubSpot, uh, I mean, what their focus is going to be, because we know that we're going to see updates related to AI. I'm sure
A
they're
few.
improving their AI engine and Breeze, but what are they going to do? My question for them, what are they going to do to improve the admin experience and make for a better experience for the admin? And that's something that a lot of people in the community are wondering, but I certainly don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, we're lucky to be able to hang out with Kyle on Fridays for the helpline show that we do on the Profoundly page. And we were talking to him about how challenging his talks are going to be this year. He's splitting it up between like beginner and advanced. And the one thing we all know is he's got to fit like Breeze and Copilot, in there some way, somehow. But he mentioned it's not as easy as it used to be. It used to be like, all right, this is the marketing hub section. This is the sales hub section. Now it's so many features, especially AI, is just complete platform. And how do you fit that into to a consumable, talk in 45 minutes? If anybody can do it, it's Kyle. So I'm excited to see what he comes up with, but it's a unique challenge. But of course, he is someone who is very mindful of the admin experience. And all I've been saying to admins is, I think we're about to see what AI first, really means in terms of HubSpot. And if we can maybe adjust our mindsets around coaching instead of, building and fixing our teams, AI can be so powerful if everybody knows how to talk to it and use it and understand what human in the loop, actually means. And I think the admin role has a chance or has an opportunity to really level up inside the organization to be that, AI engineer, AI context leader of sorts. And there's huge opportunity for any admin that can, kind of get their head right and into that space. It's a big jump from, builder, fixer, go-to guy or go-to gal. But I'm already seeing some people in the community start to embrace, some of this, which is good to see. Before we dive into Admin Arena, because we've been talking about content stuff for a couple years now, since 23. So I'm anxious to get to how that came to pass. But since you were at 23 and then missed 24, I get to ask the question that I haven't been able to ask the others, like, so what was it that you missed the most? Like when you, besides the massive FOMO, I'm sure was maybe you had to stay at home a couple days just to survive that. What was it that you missed that you loved about 23, and then at 24, you're like, man, I can't wait to get back to do this thing?
The big thing for me is actually just meeting with people and learning who everyone is outside of HubSpot even. I am notorious for being in Slack all day long, but also not being great at keeping up with banter and communicating with most people outside of answering HubSpot related questions. And so for me, when I was at 23, the best time that I'd had was just walking along the halls, chatting with the Sprocketeers that we'd had at that time. And then even after the main festivities had ended, there was a group of us and we went out and just got pizza and hung out for 3-4 hours after the conference. And we were chatting and having a good time. And so those more intimate experiences in terms of just getting to know who people are on a fundamental level, that to me is really what you capture. The sessions are fun, I think, but a lot of times you're not necessarily walking away thinking, wow, that is going to change how I run my business. And if I'm not walking away from a session feeling that way, then I'd rather just be meeting with someone. So this is an open call. If someone wants to flood my DMs and tell me to go watch a life-changing session, I'll do it. But otherwise, my motto is save me from the sessions and meet with me and let's chat and just get to know one another.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm not going to call it a mistake in 23, but definitely a different approach to getting value out of inbound. But back then I was just coming from internal, situation, was not keeping up to speed like I am now. So I went to all the sessions, and I think I maybe met like 3 people because I was always in sessions.
Yeah.
Learned the lesson, and then in 24, I think I went to 3 total, and just had such a blast just meeting everybody in person. So I think as I talk about it out loud, one of the benefits of staying up to date throughout the year is there's less pressure at inbound to go and grab all the sessions for all the new stuff. Um, so I guess that's a bonus I didn't even think about. But you got something extra special this year. And when I first met you back in 23 as the Slack, because right as Sprocketeer moved into Slack is when I got introduced to it. Like most, Kyle posted about it on LinkedIn. I was like, okay, I guess I'll take a look. And we had talked about, all the content opportunities, ways to think about HubSpot differently. I'd love to understand, maybe how long Admin Arena has been in your brain, and really what came together to make it, possible this year.
Yeah, well, and so for those who aren't familiar with the concept or haven't been following along, Admin Arena, it's a game show that we built inside of HubSpot. So we took what we all know as the HubSpot CRM, and then we built all these fun Mario Party-esque challenges into it. And we took 10 admin and made them compete for a grand prize. Winner took home $1,500. We'll be announcing the winner at the Admin Plus Super Party. So make sure you join us Wednesday.
Wednesday, 7 to 10.
Yep, Wednesday, 7 to 10 for the Super After Party. We'll also be releasing the first episode in the series on Wednesday as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Admin Arena was a massive endeavor. I am a huge, huge fan of game shows. And this is an idea that had first popped into my mind, a few years back. But the question of how do you take HubSpot and turn it into games and then turn that into a reality TV show is not an easy one to answer. And so back around February, I sat down one evening and I just wrote out an outline for 3 or 4 different games. Like, what if we, I don't want to spoil too much, but like, what if we made contestants build a workflow? They all have to build the same workflow, but it's a race. And then we throw in a twist to handicap them and make it more difficult. So I wrote out a bunch of the challenges in February, dropped a post on LinkedIn asking if anybody would potentially participate. And then with 50 plus respondents, figured it was time to actually build it. So we did the casting and started building the games around March, started filming around April. And then we filmed between April, May, June, up through early July. And now we're in post-production, finishing editing the videos. So this has been an 8-month endeavor from writing down the initial idea up through post-production.
Any surprises that you weren't expecting?
Yeah. The first being that HubSpot, even as an expert, can be broken in ways that you would never expect. It can be made to do all kinds of weird things. The hardest part about this was actually reverse engineering challenges that would be objective to complete. So that the difficulty of that I knew would be difficult, but that was the biggest surprise that I had coming into it, because any of us who are a good admin can build a workflow, but how do you make 10 people build the same workflow, make it a race, and then what's a way to slow them down or handicap them to actually make it a fun challenge, right? So that was one of the biggest difficulties. And the other was just the raw production element of keeping tabs of all the players and their storylines and who is talking to who. And so, yeah, the final edit takes a lot of the social element out. You don't see a lot of that in the final video, but behind the scenes, it was days of communication and player prep and just making sure that everything would run smoothly.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to to test some of the games, and it definitely opened my eyes, and also kind of like immediate idea explosion with so much of this as possible. And I really think content like this is going to be so good to just show the kind of flexibility of HubSpot, even though it's not the goal. Like flexibility in terms of you don't always have to think about it in terms of like business, right? And just that kind of step back to have a good time while you're doing it, like just opens the mind in a different way to be able to learn some stuff at the same time. Because it's, I mean, no coincidence that you mentioned 10 contestants. A lot of the times when I'm talking to somebody, the challenge of HubSpot is there's about 10 different ways to do just about everything. And the challenge is, and where consultants and partners and coaches are helpful, is we've done all the 10 ways. We know which way is going to be best, hopefully for you. But that's where when you throw the wrench basically in there, like that kind of can go out the window. So I'm curious, when did you, I have to imagine there was a point in time where you're like, all right, let's try it. Not sure if this is going to work, but then it like switched and you're like, yes, this is definitely the right thing to be doing. And this is going to work.
The first instance I had was as I was building the first game that players had played, and I played it through myself, and I was able to like play all the steps. And then I gave it to somebody else who behind the scenes was a beta tester, and they played it through and it didn't break. And that was the first time that I felt like, okay, I'm onto something here. A huge learning element, though, that I had is to always double check things, because the very first game that we played relied on players getting data from the internet. They had to go and research things and input answers into HubSpot, but the answers had changed between the day prior when I checked to make sure all the information was correct, and then when they played the game, it was like one of the questions was like, how many elite partners are there in the HubSpot system? And HubSpot had literally updated the website with the number of elite partners that morning, and it totally broke everything. So that
Man,
that was an experience to have that happen live as we were playing one of the games. But going back to the testing, that was the first time that I thought this is really cool. I think we're onto something here.
man, even the fun entertainment on demand content cannot avoid the speed at which the HubSpot ecosystem moves. Did you run into any situations where you built it and then by the time people had to do it, like there was an update or something in HubSpot that changed?
Yeah, there was one game that we played. Actually, I think it might have been that first one too. But there was one of the games that we played where so going into it, I didn't want to initially give everyone super admin permissions because I didn't want them looking at the workflows that were making things tick behind the scenes. But because not everyone was a super admin and not everyone had been given like a sales enterprise license, there were certain properties that were or weren't visible on the left sidebar. And I didn't realize that they would or wouldn't be visible. I knew they might be gated. And so they had to like count things, but the numbers were different because just HubSpot had shifted from what I was expecting. So that was like the biggest thing as far as a feature shift. But I know on the flip side, you got to experience a couple of the games live as you were testing them. What was your experience when you got dumped into this situation as I'm explaining the rules and saying, here, go play this experience?
It was definitely challenging to just like kind of not overthink it, I think, in a lot of ways, because you are trying to, I'm trying to think about it differently. That's not necessarily the purpose of the game, but like, and it probably speaks to how, when you're in business mode versus kind of leisure mode, like in the different path that you take mentally to get to where you need to be, was an interesting experience, right? There was a couple times where I was like, I think I double checked out loud. I was like, is this,
Mm-hmm.
and shouldn't be surprising because this is what happens during consulting calls too. It's like, is this as common sense like as I think it is? Because usually there's some workaround and there's some reason it's not going to work. And most of the time the answer was yes. But it was super interesting, the variables that you were able to play with, right? Like from user interface, to which, devices were being used at any given time, was a job well done, I think, on your part. Game design is certainly no easy task. Trying to apply it to a CRM, like, had to be an interesting journey.
Yeah, it was. One of the elements that made the overall process easier than it could have been is working with the amazing sponsors that we had. So the games I mentioned, there was a prize pot winner got $1,500, and that prize pot was sponsored by companies that put in toward the prize, and we built games around their apps. So Data Technologies with Jack Tolley, InCycle with Yonatan Lee, DataBox with Peter Caputa. Like those were three amazing sponsors to work with. They gave me access to their tools and connecting it into HubSpot and just all of the support that was needed to build these games. And again, the type of things you won't see when you're watching the video, but I mean, behind the scenes, it would be meeting to discuss, well, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And they didn't necessarily put a lot of restrictions on what I would have the players do, but there are some of the challenges that involve going outside of HubSpot, using these third-party apps, and then, of course, interfacing with HubSpot to achieve certain tasks. And so it was a lot of fun working with the sponsors and myself, even just learning how apps plug into the ecosystem, because as every HubSpot user knows, third-party apps fill a huge gap in terms of native features.
Yeah. No, I think like this is another case where only in this ecosystem, like, could something like this happen? I mean, like 50 people, right off the bat asking to be a part of it. And then, the group of admin level testers, like beta testers showing up, app partners, like, man, I mean, honestly, that's the only way this works, right? It's not just Cameron's like willpower, although there was a ton of blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this. It wouldn't have been possible without the community, again, coming together to really come together in a special way that we don't see anywhere else. So I'd love to like take us to inbound. So outside of Admin Arena, outside of, the admin block party, is there anything you've highlighted as far as, the different spaces? What else are you looking forward to? Maybe, or where are people going to find you maybe at any given time?
Wandering around. No, so I mentioned my mantra being save me from the sessions. That's very true. I've booked sessions for every time slot throughout the day that I can fit back to back, but I'm not committed to any of them. So for anybody who wants to meet up, send me a message on LinkedIn, send me a message in WhatsApp. We have a group chat for all of the admin who are in Sprocketeer who want to join. It's open invite, drop a message, let me know. But my goal is really just to meet up with people throughout the day. I have a handful of meetings that are booked. So if there's open space on my calendar, it is yours. And if there's not open space and there's nobody to meet up with, then I will be at some of the various sessions throughout the day. I think the two big ones that I am eager to attend amongst all of the meetups and sessions are the Community Champions meetup, and then I have a brain date with Nico on vibe coding. So
There you go.
very excited for that as well.
Yeah, he's been filling them up. I think they stopped. I think he hit the limit of groups you can have. Vibe coding, very popular right now, and he's definitely a wizard in that department. So yeah, brain dates are going to be pretty exciting. I've got one talking about LinkedIn Lives. Same thing I did last year, just sharing the experience, helping people, press play on LinkedIn, share your expertise. Usually some fun conversations around that. Man, this has been awesome. What else? Should we roll through like the contestants and who actually was an Admin Arena contestant this year?
Yeah, we definitely can. I have, let me pull, I always forget the player names, keeping tabs of 10 people and all of their fictitious player names, gamer tags always throws me for a loop. But let me pull it up here because I was just working on wrapping up one of the episodes. But we had 10 amazing contestants who showed up. Every week it was 2 hours of filming. And that was on top of any prep, which there was a good amount of prep for every episode, whether it was reviewing apps or just going through notes, discussing strategy and the social dynamics. But 10 admin that we had Thomas Delaney, who went by HubSpot Taniwa. We've got Andre Solano, Andre All Day. We've got Sean Sukis, HubSpot Dungeon Master. Timmy Van Roy, Little Chicken, which if you don't know him, then I don't know who you are in the ecosystem, but go check that guy out because he wears the chicken suit and you should know him for sure. Louis Chaco, Rev Optimus Prime. Crispy Barnett, so he goes by Crispy. Danielle Urban, who's Map Maker. Brian Osa, Hub Vader. Sarah Lane Hahn, Mops Fairy. And then Ryan Ginsberg, Fix It Ryan. So those were our 10 contestants.
The crack squad right there. I'm excited to see. I haven't seen any episodes yet, so I'm excited to see how it shakes out. And I know it's probably challenging for you to share any information, but what kind of like Easter egg or tidbits like should people expect from watching the season?
Very real social dynamics that came into play. And again, it was largely due to time with the constraints of editing up through to where we wanted to release during inbound. So there's a lot of the social dynamic that gets pulled out of it. A bunch of us are going to be at inbound. So stop by and say hey to any of us, DM any of us on LinkedIn. We'll be dropping some behind the scenes footage, but the social dynamics were surprising to see. So I created a rule from day one where any players who wanted to talk about the game had to do it in Slack and had to include me in their group messages. So that way I could see everything. And there was a lot of backstabbing, a lot of people who would start an alliance with someone and then they go right behind their back and say, hey, I'm in a fake alliance with this person. So that was really cool. And in the episode, you'll see all the voting and you can follow along with that as well because there's actual votes and elimination challenges with every episode.
So in true reality TV fashion, in true Survivor fashion, this is not just cool people doing cool things in HubSpot.
It is very much a social game as much as it was a strategic one. And what I can say is we're in pre-production for season 2. I know we have yet to launch season 1 episodes. Those are coming out shortly during inbound, but we're in pre-production for season 2, starting to figure out what the season is going to look like, what teams are going to look like, etc. And the one thing that I can say is that we're working on ways to capture more of the social element. So introducing rules like having conversations recorded in sessions instead of just DMing each other in Slack. So stuff like that, that's going to make season 2 way more dynamic than even what we're seeing in season 1.
Right. Sure. I know there's words. You can tell I'm out of the reality TV game because I'm sure there's words for these like testimonial rooms or whatever rooms they go in to just talk to the camera.
Right? Yeah, we did that for season 1. I have hours of confessionals from every player, and so that's one of the biggest challenges. Is I have 2 hours of gameplay for every player because we film each challenge each week. And then it would be about an episode or about an hour or 30 minutes of confessional footage per episode. And so going through and doing pretty much all the work on my own of filtering through all the footage, it takes a lot of time, but the end result is very exciting. So it's really cool seeing everybody with their mindset and just knowing that this was a very real thing. Taking 10 admin, dumping them into a HubSpot instance, making them compete in challenges, and we had a few surprise guests pop in along the way. So stay tuned to see who shows up throughout the season as well.
Do we know what time during the block party that's going to air or be announced?
So the episode is going to be published in the afternoon. I don't have a big announcement for it. It's going to be published and viewable on YouTube in the afternoon on Wednesday. During the block party, we're going to be doing an announcement for both the winner of season 1 and we're going to be doing an announcement for season 2. We have a promo trailer that we've cut and a registration form for those who want to register. But fun fact is that a lot of this is going to be early and available to community members on Patreon. So for those who want to be a part of the Admin Arena community, you can actually join on Patreon. It is free to make a membership. And then there's different tiers if you want to contribute into the prize pool and into the Admin Arena experience. And with the different membership tiers, you get perks like early content access. Your name will be in thank you credits and production updates and other benefits. So for those who want to watch episode 1 and want to watch it early, I haven't published it to Patreon yet, but you will be able to watch it before everybody else by being a paid community member on Patreon.
Exciting times. I know you've been building for this moment for a while, so I'm sure it feels awesome to be right there and ready to actually get all the eyeballs on it. That's it's been fun to watch, I'll say, from my end, and I appreciate you so much for putting the work in, getting the people together, and really taking a chance on something like this in a space where we've all been talking about it, stuff like this for a while, and it's not always easy to execute. So it's really inspiring, honestly, to see something like this come to fruition. And we expect it to be, I expect it to be a hit. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. But as soon as it hits, kind of the greater population, I think you're onto something here, like you mentioned. So.
Yeah. And again, you got to play some of the games, so you have an inkling of what's coming up with the episodes and with the experience. But for those who want to participate live, you can, again, join through Patreon as a member. I will also be publishing it to LinkedIn, so stay tuned there or shoot me a DM. But we are going to be having an Admin Arena experience at Inbound. So location and details are secret, but if you are interested, find the Admin Arena page on Patreon, shoot me a message, submit the form, and if you're selected, you'll get to play the games as well. So I'm really excited to be bringing the experience into Inbound and hopefully play with members of the community.
Yeah, no, we'll be sure to share the links in the comments of this cast. This has been awesome, man. Thanks so much for doing all this and taking the time the week before Inbound. Super busy, but I think we had some fun today, huh?
Oh yeah, and I'm excited to see you and see everyone at Inbound. I maintain, if anybody wants to meet up, shoot me a message. Let's definitely put some time on the calendar, and then for anybody who wants to make content at Inbound, let me know.
Yep, and of course, check out Profoundly. We're gonna be at booth 30. Like I said, there's gonna be a ton of stuff going on around the creator space, like a bunch of correspondents doing stuff outside of our morning show. And really the spot, the brain dates area, it's gonna be some fun stuff. If you're looking to human with other humans, I've been told that's the place to go do that at the impact zone, I think is what that one's referred to. Yeah, and don't hesitate to reach out. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. and especially my man Cameron Collins. Thanks so much for joining the show today, man.
Thank you for having me on, and to everybody watching, thank you for following along with Profoundly and following along with myself. We always appreciate those who are tuning into our journeys.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.